What's up, guys? We're back. It's been a little bit. Yeah. Figured I'm on my way down to the Pokemon outlet in Lee, Mass. And so figured I'd do a little video. It's been a few. As I've said in past videos, it's really getting real busy with the day job. Every weekend I've been at card shows. Next weekend I've got a weekend off, but I'll probably end up walking around a card show to source more product. So, it's good to be busy and no complaints there. Hope to see some of you guys at the Pokemon outlet today. Tomorrow I'm going to be at Western Mass card shows in Chicopee for the quarterly banger. So if you aren't going to the outlet show, then hopefully see you there tomorrow. And then got some shows booked in April and May and June already, so schedule should be pretty busy for the next few months, and it's a good time to be at shows every weekend if you can. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so how's the market looking, guys? What do you think? I mean, at least me pricing cards last night, it's looking pretty hot still. Doesn't really seem to be slowing down. Liquidity seems to be maintaining at pretty steady, fast-paced levels. I guess we'll see this weekend. We went to a show last weekend, and the foot traffic at the show was surprisingly slow, surprisingly, considering where we're at in the market. But everybody that did come by still wanted to make deals, and so it was still a productive weekend. I think obviously like vintage high end especially is still just like going crazy. Every major auction is a new all-time high, pretty much. It's pretty nuts. So as far as the naysayers about this market, well, we're still waiting. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, and I guess sort of related to that is what I was going to talk a little bit about today. I don't know. Today's just going to be pretty casual, no real, no talking points to get to, just kind of rambling a little bit for a while. So if you're into that, good video for you. But I was talking to a friend of mine who I went and saw. I haven't seen him in a couple years, and so I went and visited him for a day. And I was telling him a little bit about, this market and this side hustle that I've been doing for the past year and how it's going. And I was just telling him, like, man, it's unbelievable how hot this market is. It's unbelievable how much growth there's been in this space in the past year, especially. And I was going on to say, pretty much anything you've been holding for a year, like almost anything, you're up on. And a lot of things you're up double or triple. And his comment, which is a totally understandable comment to make, was like, man, that sounds like a kind of a crazy bubble. And, people even inside this space will say, like, oh, we're in such a bubble right now, blah, blah, blah. And so, that's not super surprising that somebody would say that. And it's not super surprising that people that know the market would say that. Things have doubled and tripled and quadrupled over the past year, which in a normal market, in a normal time, is abnormal, right? You know, you wouldn't expect that kind of growth and return in a normal market in a normal time. But, you know, as I've said before, and as plenty of other people have said as well, there is, in my opinion, equivalent growth in demand to the amount of growth in pricing. And I think one of the, you know, without even getting into the high end and the vintage, one of the obvious indicators of that is that new sets continue to sell at a premium above shelf price. And even sets that people are not super pumped on, such as Perfect Order, which is coming out like next week, maybe, I think. Because I had an opportunity to pre-order some last night and I chose not to. But even sets like that are selling like well above shelf price. And yeah, I've had opportunities to buy Perfect Order. Perfect Order is going to be a real test of this market and where we're going in the market, because it's clearly not as desirable of a set as anything so far in this block. Like in the mega block, there's, you know, base set is a better set. Phantasmal is a better set. We don't even need to talk about Ascended. It's obviously so far the best set in the block. So Perfect Order is going to be a real, what do you want to say? It's going to be a real sort of indicator of how hot the market is. Is it still scorching? Are we, you know, because pre-order pricing, as far as I've seen, at least, booster boxes are around $250. And I haven't checked on ETBs, but I know that, you know, GameStop was offering pre-orders for $80 a piece. So, you know, 30% above MSRP or whatever, which is typically, you know, they're pretty on point as far as offering things at market price on release. And then lately the trend has been that market price actually undercuts what their sale price of items are, especially like the UPCs and things like that. You know, market prices dipped under that. So will that trend continue? Will these ETBs actually get under $70? I mean, I don't think they're going to MSRP, but I wouldn't be surprised if these ETBs do sink to like a $70-ish price range. I just think the set is it's underwhelming, which is good. We should have some cool off. We should have some resetting. We should have some people panic and have some scalpers go elsewhere. That's fine. I'm not against that at all. Especially with a set like this. But if these prices don't fall and, you know, ETBs remain at like an $80 or more price point and booster boxes remain at a $250 or more price point, I think that's a clear indicator that this market is still scorching hot and there is tons of increased demand, and the Pokemon Company cannot keep up with the increased demand currently at their current capacity of printing, which over the past year has seemed to be the case. I mean, where's the booster box reprints of any Scarlet and Violet set? They don't exist. I mean, they like exist, but in like the craziest short print run and doesn't even put a dent in demand or market values for the most part. Or if it does, it's for like a week or less. So with that in mind, I would just say, we'll see how Perfect Order goes on release in the couple weeks after. I'm going to hold off from buying it at the moment and sort of just let the market give me some more information before I push money into it. The only new products that I do buy consistently at this point I do buy Japanese booster boxes, because I don't buy in huge quantities, and because they're like brand new and you can't get the English stuff yet, they typically tend to sell before there's any sort of dip in the market price. So that's kind of been my strategy, just have the new Japanese set on release. There are like Ascended, I'll buy sealed Ascended, no problem now. I think, I'm sure we'll get reprints and stuff, but it's just like so far clearly the best set in the block. And it'd be really impressive if there were many other sets in the block that even sort of rivaled it. Hopefully the Gen 3 sets later this year, hopefully they do rival it, because I'm really psyched up on those. I really am. I'm looking forward to those, and I really hope the art is awesome and we get some sick Swamperts and Sceptiles and Blazikens and Rayquazes, etc., etc. I hope that's, I have very high hopes for those sets. And so those sets being on the near-term horizon also makes me skeptical of people who are sort of naysayers in the market right now. Perfect Order to me has a lot of similarities with Journey Together. I think Journey Together is a better set, but just the way it's coming out in the market, where it's clearly less desirable than the set before it, and on release it has still an elevated price point, but I think it will sink after release. And we'll see what the rest of the next set looks like, because Ninja Spinner just dropped the Japanese set. I'm pretty sure there's a second half of that, but I could be totally wrong. I haven't been keeping up, to be honest, too much with release schedules and all that sort of stuff. But I just think it rhymes with Journey Together. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's just Ascended just came out before Journey, Prismatic just came out, and then Journey came out. Prices were very elevated at release, and I would be surprised if they remain elevated past release. So I'm gonna hold off on buying until a few weeks after release. Who knows? It depends what the prices are. Just something to keep in mind and watch. But yeah, in general, I do think that the demand is mostly responsible for elevated prices across the market. Of course, the other thing to factor in is that, in my opinion, right, this isn't financial advice, blah, 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 but, I think people are just looking for alternative investment vehicles. Like my friend's comment, oh, that sounds like a bubble. Well, it's if you look at literally any commodity over the past couple of years, you could also say those are bubbles, but are they bubbles in that there's not real demand for them? that is pumping the numbers, or is the dollar valuation of those things adjusting to the fact that the dollar continues to shrink in value over time? And is there, in the case of some commodities like oil right now, there's geopolitical factors happening that are increasing the price. In terms of precious metals, gold and silver, those are a clear case where it's like there's increased demand because people are realizing over time, if you hold your money in dollar bills, you lose purchasing power. And so there is increased demand. And then the price is going up, not just because increased demand, but also because there's more pressure. Well, there's globally increased demand. So number starts to go up, and then that creates good PR, let's say, for those commodities. And so you have more people rush in. So the demand is kind of compounding based on number go up, let me jump in. And that happens in every commodities market, and that's happening in Pokemon for sure. But the demand is there. It's not like fake demand. I mean, you could make an argument that some of like the institutional investment that's coming into the Pokemon space, that's like less real demand. But even that is like institutional investments are coming to understand the Pokemon market as a real investment category. They're coming to understand the TCG market broadly, One Piece, Pokemon, Magic. These are real investment vehicles. So that's not the same as collector demand or, pack ripping demand or, small time individual demand. But it's following individual demand. It's reading individual demand and saying, I should be in this category. And so in that sense, it is real demand. It's just sort of a separate category of it. So, I mean, I think the price adjustments are reacting to real demand and real growth in demand inside the market. And so I certainly, personally, would not categorize this as a bubble. Really what it is in all of these commodities is it's an inverse bubble. It's a bubble. The dollar bill, the value of a single dollar bill or X amount of dollar bills, that's the bubble that's popping, which is causing all of these commodities and investments to grow in terms of dollars over time. If the dollar falls by 50%, all else remaining equal, everything else priced in dollar bills is going to be 2 times as valuable in dollars. I hope that makes sense the way I said it. It's like, if a dollar bill can only buy you half as much, then you have to spend twice as many dollar bills to get the same amount of goods, right? So I think that's the actual bubble, is the dollar bubble. And because of geopolitics and monetary policy in the US over the last 100 years, that's the bubble, is dollar bills, is value of dollars. They've been inflated because of, these various financial arrangements that central bankers have made, Bretton Woods and, Nixon's sort of oil deal to price oil only in dollars and sell oil only in dollars. That's been inflating the price of, or the value of, the currency And then the real inflation is that the currency is becoming more plentiful over time, making each individual dollar less valuable in terms of what it can buy you over time. So that's the bubble. And now that bubble's popping because of loose monetary policy over decades and decades, but especially in the past 6 years, 10 years, however you want to, just over time, the monetary policy gets looser and looser, and that creates a bubble. And we've been able to avoid this pain in, dollar devaluation for so long because we've been able to export a lot of these dollars. There's all these countries that the U.S. has been able to essentially sell our debt to, which is what dollars are. I would probably have to do a separate video on that because that's like another can of worms. But, if you understand that each dollar that gets printed is essentially debt, like it's the government giving out notes saying this is worth something. And so it's government debt that's being printed. And, so you have other countries that because they have to buy commodities in dollar bills, well, they need dollars. And so that increases demand for dollars. And so that has insulated the pain of more dollars being in circulation because they've been able to spread them out to other countries, and sort of spread out the debt across the globe. Now, if the geopolitical world ends up pushing a lot of those dollars back home, we're really going to start to feel the devaluation of the dollar at a much more rapid pace. And that's the scary part about the current geopolitical and monetary situation in the U.S. But this is not a politics channel. This is a Pokemon channel. And so I think many people understand this in a not exactly the way that I've put it sort of terms, but they understand, well, if I hold all my money in cash under the mattress, over time, I'm just getting absolutely fleeced. You put 100 grand under the mattress, not that you can, but just saying, hypothetically, well, 10 years from now, you can buy about half as much house with that money, probably, if trends remain on the current trajectories. So people are just looking for exit strategies from saving in dollars because it's just a losing strategy. So a lot of those dollars get put into stocks and bonds and real estate and now collectibles, gold, silver, all sorts of stuff. People are looking for exit strategies from the dollar. And so that's another big reason that I think demand has increased so much in the past couple of years. Is people are starting, individuals have started to understand this as a better place to park their wealth than dollars, which is hilarious, truthfully. It shouldn't be like that. But, if you have very loose monetary policy, people are going to notice eventually, and people are noticing now. And so, people are looking for alternatives. And so here we are. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think I'm nuts and whatever. Send me your hate mail as always. I love them. But I think that's the reality. I think there is tons of increased demand. I don't think this is a bubble. I think, like I said, we're in an inverse bubble if you understand monetary policy and how that works. So, I'm getting to the outlets, guys. Hope to see a bunch of you guys out here. Hopefully we've got a great weekend of shows, and we'll talk soon. All right, later.